biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Marquita Blades, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Marquita Blades Show, Candid Conversations that Create Change. I am so excited today because I'm joined by two high school seniors who are going to share their perspectives on some current issues in education. I want to start by saying how this episode came about. I was speaking at Career Day at Tri Cities High School a couple of weeks ago, and these two young ladies were in one of my sessions. And when I mentioned that I had a radio show where we discuss education, the young lady to my left, Miss Jada Wheaton, she's going to introduce herself in a moment. She asked the question, "Do you ever have students on your show?" And I said, "I've had one on there, but not really." And so she posed the question to me, don't you think you need students to discuss what's currently going on in education? And I thought I absolutely do need students to give their opinions. For as long as this show has been running, it's been myself and my colleagues and other people in the community talking about what we as adults think about the current state of education, but it's going to be so much better to hear directly from students who are impacted daily by what's going on in education. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to have each one of my guests introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what path they're currently on in high school and what they're interested in doing, and then we'll jump right into the conversation. So, Ms. Wheaton, we'll start with you.
Okay, well, hi, I'm Jada Wheaton, senior at Tri-Cities. I'm senior at high school. When I graduate, my plan is to go to college. I'm interested in animation and film, so I hope to pursue that when I graduate. And so, yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name's Diana. I am a senior at Tri-Cities as well, and I want to pursue filmmaking in general, maybe an independent filmmaker in the future.
Wonderful, exciting career paths that y'all have chosen. So, because Jada posed the question to me, I immediately said, okay, you want to come on my show? Let's set that up. And I asked for her contact information. What I didn't want to do was impose my topics on her. I asked her to send me a list of topics, and she did. And we're going to start with the first one, which was Betsy DeVos and her appointment as Secretary of Education. So, Jada, what were your thoughts about Ms. DeVos?
Yes, I just thought it was a little crazy because looking at her background information, like she has no experience with education and more public education. You know, she's never been to any public educations like at all. Most of her stuff is with private, but like most students, they really need help in the public education systems, which I thought, you need to put more of your effort towards those kids because that's the reason they can't afford private schools. They need help in public education systems, and she doesn't, know what she's doing, in my opinion. So I was like, it's crazy.
And Diana?
I have to agree. I've heard that she wants to make all public schools charter schools, and inevitably some schools do charge students for their education. And one thing I spoke with my mother is that if you're going to make every single child pay for their education, give those who are dreamers a social security for them to at least, go with their proper name, make sure they get their certificate that they paid for. So it's a lot of stuff that she's doing that is really hurting the community, especially those who are, under the poverty line or even like at the middle, that it could really hurt us, individually.
And so you mentioned making sure that she gives, or the government in general under her guidance would give provisions for dreamers. For some of my audience who's not really familiar with that term, can you explain to them who the dreamers are?
So the dreamers are students who came to the U.S. by their parents at a very young age, if I'm sure it is 7. And they basically are those children who were brought here and did come into the education system, did what they needed to do, most likely did not have anything going on with the police. They got straight A's, they're going to college. But the one issue is that once they start applying, they don't have a social security number to apply with. So that's when everything started to, I would say, resonate, and many students tried talking to their lawyers and parents, and that's when President Obama came with the DREAM Act, DACA. And that's basically what the Dreamers are. They just students who want to pursue their secondary education and want to pursue the future and work hard and, give back to the country that raised them.
So when people say that students who came or who fall under the Dreamers Act need to go back home, what would be your response to that?
I would say, excuse me, I have a bit of a cold. I would say it's a bit unfair because I've heard a lot of people say that it's their parents' fault, not the students' fault, and I disagree. I was born here in Atlanta, but I like to, fight for those who can't, and I know my parents, they are immigrants. They came finding a better future. They didn't come to steal jobs. They actually made jobs. They own a small company, and I feel like that's something big for immigrants that comes to the U.S. And for these dreamers to just be pushed away because of where they were born, I feel like it's very rude and disrespectful because most of them actually go into the military, they pay taxes, they do all these things, and to get nothing back from it, and all they ask is an education. So
Jada, I'm sure you have multiple friends who are dreamers. So how, when you hear things like this, how does it impact you even though it's not your personal situation?
Man, I also feel like it's a bit unfair too because they're doing the same thing that I'm doing, but then it's like because I don't have that situation, so it's kind of like I know that I probably won't have to deal with the same situation she is, but to see my friends doing that, it's just like I wish there was something I could do. I don't know what I can do because it's like on a legal level, and I don't even know where to begin with something like that.
I think the first step though is just coming here and sharing your opinion and showing your support. That's very important. Another thing that you mentioned was standardized tests. And so I want each of you to talk to the audience about standardized tests, particularly, do you feel like they accurately represent what you learn on a daily basis in school?
Actually, like, yes and no, because it comes down to the standardized testing, like, we get them usually, like, the end of the semester, end of school year. And usually they're like 20% of our grade, like the final grade. So let's say you're doing, pretty good all year. You have B's, but then you don't do so well on that test and you end up failing the class. And it's just like, well, I worked really hard. And then this one test determined like everything that I've been doing. So kids are tempted to cheat and all this stuff going on just so you can pass this one test that really doesn't, show anything, in my opinion.
yeah, I agree. I had one instance had the same situation where I worked very hard and it just really upset me. I passed the class, but I would have loved to pass with a higher grade. And all that testing and just stress accumulated with all these tests and one after another, I didn't feel like it showed actually how much I put in, to be exact.
So what is a better solution to the end of semester standardized test? What would be a better way for you to show how hard you've worked and everything that you've learned?
I really haven't seen anything being changed. It's always been the same thing. Or I've seen teachers do what they're doing with us seniors now, is that if you have it higher than 85 points in the class, you'll be able to be exempt from the test because you've shown that hard work throughout the whole year. And they have been changing tests. For example, the true and false, it's a 50-50 chance, but they want us to explain why it is true or false. So that has been working out for me a lot. I've been passing a lot more of my tests. Yeah, I've been able to explain myself, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some of the same classes too, just at different times. But yeah, the explaining why you think this is, or like if your grade is high enough, then you don't have to do the final exam because it shows that you do know the information.
So teachers, that's note number one. Now, are you all aware that in some instances the teachers don't have a choice in what test they can give you? So what are your thoughts on that in terms of the teacher's position? Does it change the way you look at the teacher, or?
Yeah, it's like I do understand that teachers, they do have a boss. So then I guess I don't really know like the order of the education, but like whoever the boss is, I guess that's who like needs to hear the information because they're not at the school with us every day. It's always the teachers. And so, when the boss says do this, do this, do this, but then it's like, okay, but my students need X, Y, Z, then it's just like, it doesn't agree, and then students end up stressed or failing classes, and then teachers are like, I don't know how to connect with my students, what's going on. And it's just because I think whoever's in charge of the teachers needs to like come down and see like we're doing, or even talk to us. Like, I don't even know who our superintendent, I don't even know Do you
Wow.
know? I don't know either.
Yeah, well, that's a huge point, and that's to no fault of you as students. That person should be visible so that you know
Yeah.
and you're aware. And I think this also goes back to the point that you made earlier about having a Secretary of Education who's not familiar with public education. So I'm sure she's totally unaware of the points that you all just made. What type of assignments? So let's just say it's not only the test. What other types of assignments do you feel would better show what you've learned in a class?
I actually, well, for me, I know I like things that are more hands-on. I like projects instead of like bookwork, paperwork. That can kind of get boring and tedious. So it's just like, I guess, more interactive projects like go, I guess, make up a game or go do this project, get in groups of 3 and work on this assignment. Like things that just are different from the norm of go to this page and write this, copy this and do that. I think that will, if it's just switched up a bit and more interactive, then that'll like help students be more engaged.
So a lot of the trainings that teachers are attending now are telling them to do the kind of things that you're saying. Are y'all telling me that are teachers still mostly doing book work versus interactive work, or would you say, what's the percentage between the two? I don't want to throw out any numbers.
For us, our school has now put in devices for the students, so we're pretty lucky to have that. And
Okay.
it's less of the paperwork. I feel like there are mixed responses to it. For me personally, it seems to be working. I'm able to get my work done, and it's all in one place. It's still that, it's not a book. It's more so on the computer. But like Jada said, we are seeing a bit more of the hands-on. I'm also a hands-on student. I like to do my work or paint and draw and be able to show my work through art or something like that. So I guess that would be it.
Okay, and to all of my teacher friends who are watching, I don't want y'all to feel like I'm beating up on you, but the point has to be made. We, a lot of times, will say that students don't care or students are apathetic. And now that I have 2 students sitting in front of me who are willing to share their opinions, I just want to make sure that they are listening and receiving the information. So, teaching styles. Let's talk about those. What's your preferred teaching style?
I really would like a teacher that's like I said, super interactive with students, like always like asking questions, challenging, like everything. Like I love my literature teacher because he would always like ask me questions about, well, why does this happen? It just keeps you engaged. And then just doing activities with my hands, getting a chance to work with people on something. That's just like really fun when a teacher like allows you to do that because it just keeps their class interesting.
I completely agree with her. Like I said before, it's very good when you're able to actually have connection with your teacher. I really love having that. I still talk to my elementary school teachers because I feel like they did a great job with helping me get through the rough patches of my life or helping me at least to learn the basics in order to grow further. And I feel like if they actually have a good connection, for example, my sister and her teacher, she comes to the birthday parties or any gathering we have at our house. So as long as you have like a good connection with your students, I feel like you're doing a great job.
Yeah, because some teachers don't even like try to make a connection with students. They just say, here's my work, don't talk to me, get it done, like that. Or they'll just have their back turned to the board all day, and I'm just like, I'm not in college yet, can you please like help me? I'm not ready for this. It's just like that. But like when you have a connection, when you're interactive with your students, then it just makes your class more engaging and your students will be interested in it.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the importance of building relationships with students, and some teachers are better at that than others. So let's just say a teacher doesn't have that kind of personality. What other things can they do? Though they may not be the warmest or, the most interactive in that way, what else can they do, though, to make that connection?
Well, for me, I've had like last year was a situation kind of like that. I guess open-minded for the teachers towards students. Not every student's the same. We all learn differently. Also, all teachers are different as well. They're not all the same. And I feel like if it goes vice versa, both people, the student and the teacher, have to be open-minded on either giving work or doing the work and turning it in as well.
How much student input should be considered when teachers are creating a syllabus or coming up with a project and things like that?
Um, well, I guess it depends because really the assignments are given to like see how your student is doing in the class. But I mean, if your student is putting in input, like, can we do maybe this on the project or talk about this, then I guess like that'll help to see where your students are and what you need to work on. Because if your students are asking for this, then you know that they know that. So then you might want to touch up on something else so they can get help in, something else that maybe they need help with.
Now, what about mean teachers or strict teachers? Do you find that sometimes it helps you stay on track if the teacher is a little bit more of a disciplinarian?
I actually do. I had a situation last year. We had a chemistry teacher. She was like really, really strict with her work. Really mean. She wasn't really helpful at all either. But it really now this year she makes some of my teachers look really lenient and easy, and I'm able to because of her. And like I did not like her. I could not stand her. I was crying sometimes in class. Like I was so sad. But it did help me make sure all of my work was done. And because she was so strict, it kind of helped me in that area. But I just wasn't happy with her at all. It really made me upset. But I think it did help having her as a teacher because she makes all my other teachers look easy, and like I'm able to get their work done and stuff too.
And for college, that helps prepare.
I think she wasn't she a college?
A college professor.
She was I think that's what she's doing now. She's at a college. I was like, whew, thank God she's gone. But yeah, she was helpful in that sense of making sure your work is done, make sure it's done accurately. Like she would just do oh my gosh, she made me really upset. Man.
How do you all feel about students wanting the easy way out? Obviously, you are two very hardworking students. Does it impact you at all when you see students that always want extra credit or always want to turn things in late or just looking for the easy way out?
I wouldn't, well, it depends on the situation. I know I've had a lot of situations where I can't send something in or it's going to be late, but I promise it's going to be there by tomorrow. But then there are other students who like to slack off. And I was talking to a friend about that whole situation about students who, quote unquote, slack off. That it's not the teacher's fault. It's probably a student. They're going through something or they just really probably don't care. And that's maybe when you have to take different, assess it in different ways. And I've never been a student like that because I've been afraid of my parents. They're like, oh, you got a B? Okay, now give me an A. You got an A? I want that to be an A+. So that's how I've been used to. I'm actually pretty scared to get a B because they're okay with it, but I know that they want me to go higher. And maybe some students, that's probably not the situation, or they just feel comfortable that way. And we, like I said, we're all different. We can't just all be on the same level at the same time.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have parents like that too. It's a B, give me an A. If it's a 90, I want a 101. Like it's just like that with my parents. But students do have different situations where like because they don't have parents like ours at home to like say you need to get higher grades, you need to do this and do that. That causes them to slack off, and then like they're always asking for last minute extra credit. You have students like that, but then I'm the type of student that's like, okay, I know I have a B. Is there anything I can do to get this up real quick? Something like that. So it's just different, and it depends on the situation. But you do have those students that like do absolutely nothing and then try to ask for extra credit, and that's not really fair.
Teachers, are y'all hearing this? I am blown away by both of your maturity and just insight on these topics. This is so refreshing to hear. So, as you prepare to leave high school, what are your main concerns?
Money.
Number one.
Money. Oh my goodness, money. Because, like, even in terms of, like, paying for college, it's like, how am I going to eat? What am I going to do? It's just money. Transportation. I know it's going to be expensive, so I'm really looking for scholarships. But I think money and money management is, like, something I'm real concerned about for me.
I as well. I always tell my parents, what if I don't get the scholarship? They're like, it's okay, we can work something out. And I told them, well, I would like to go to this school, but it's a private school, and I don't want to take that risk, so I'll go to a public school and see what I can do, or go to a technical and then go to the other school. And they're like, no, you're going straight into college, and we'll work it out. But money is probably the biggest issue for me as well.
Yeah, money isn't like a big thing that we talk about in school. Like, I'm taking economics, and it's my senior year, and I'm just now taking some type of money regarded class. So it's like,
That
I
was
wish
going to be
I
my
would've-
next question.
Oh, yeah. I wish I would have had it, like, going freshman year. I wish that would have been the one class I had, like, all 4 years, because having economics is very helpful, knowing how, like, everything works, like, how government works, how all of that works. But I was like, I wish I would have had this when I was first coming into high school, so that way my knowledge on that could have built up to now.
Do you think, and because when I was in high school, we took civics and economics, government and econ in the 9th grade. For some reason, that got switched, and I haven't done the research on this, but I'm just guessing that as a 9th grader, not every student really absorbed that information in the way that they should have. So do you feel the two of you as 9th graders, I'm sure, probably would still be impacted by that, but do you think most students in 9th grade are ready for the information that's taught in economics and government?
I think they can get basic information, because it is important to know, like, how all of that works. Like, it's really helpful. So I think, like, like I said, if it would have started in 9th grade with, like, basic information, then increased as you went up through high school, then that, I feel, would be the most efficient way to make sure that younger 9th grade students are on board with the whole curriculum, and then it moves up as they go through high school.
I completely agree. I feel like Jada said, if you start from the bases and move upward, that does a big impact. I remember asking my mom, well, how do taxes work, and what does this bill do? Because I really did not know what it did or how that worked.
I'm asking my parents all the time, like, what is this? And then they're just like, oh, well, this is when you have this and that. And I'm like, I wish they would have taught me that at school, because it's pretty important to know, like, you know? Yeah, that's
No, I think that's, very valid for you to bring that up. And I think that some of the topics that you're talking about, they should be impressed every year. Start in 9th grade, repeat in 10th, and especially 11th and 12th. And by the time you're a senior, then you've heard enough and you've been able to add on so that you're ready when you leave. So what are some classes that you would say, if it were up to you, these would definitely be offered in high school?
Oh man, money management, economics. I honestly think, like, when it comes to math, like, math is important, but I think calculus and, like, all these advanced maths are not, because you don't use them every day. So, like, maybe up to, like, algebra 2, I think is what we were doing. That would be it. Of course, literature. We need literature, because I feel like we're so focused on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Like, still, some of my classmates, they're not very strong readers. They're, like, good at math and good at science, but, like, we're not really focused on literature and reading. So I think literature is something that we really, really need. Some of them can't read. I'm just like, why do you still read like you're in 3rd grade? Like, I just think those are some classes that we need, though.
I would say the same, especially when it comes to money management. I know for sure that I want to travel in the future. I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing, what are the steps I'm taking, and for example, something that I feel would be very helpful for those dreamers, maybe a class where, it's dedicated to you knowing what you need to do. And of course, maybe some of them won't know. Like I said, those dreamers from before, they didn't know they were immigrants until they actually applied to college. So I guess somewhere between money management and then personal finances, I guess they correlate with each other. So I would really like that in the school system.
And how's the college application and financial aid process for you all?
It's actually been really good. Our college aide, the lady that's with us now, she's actually been really helpful. She's always sending us messages about, hey, this scholarship is uploaded. So when it comes to, like, college application and making sure that, there are options for us, she's doing a really good job with that. So yeah, that's all I have to. It's been a really, like, nice process for us, I have to say.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that we don't have any questions. Y'all, please send your questions. Again, we always talk about what the teenagers aren't doing, but we have two ladies right here who are openly sharing their thoughts and opinions on the current state of education. So if you have some questions for them, please do. You can put them on the Facebook Live feed. You can text them to 478-569-6474. And while you all are doing that, my next question is, you've spoken about the money aspect for leaving high school. In terms of academics, do you feel, and you really won't know this until you get to college, but do you feel confident in your academic abilities as you leave high school?
Yes and no, because like they always say that college is not going to be this easy as it is now. So then it's like, okay, well, why don't you teach me how it's going to be taught in college then, especially for it being my senior year. It's like, okay, why don't you give me a little bit of how it's going to be in college, because you always say it's not going to be this easy, your teacher's going to be harder. When it's like, okay, well, can you show me, so that way I know like kind of what to expect, especially now this year since I'm a senior. Maybe not when I'm a freshman, because I know like I did, like I said, that one teacher that I had last year, I was not prepared for that. But I think this year I'll be able to handle it a little bit better, and I'm excited for college. And also it depends on what college you go to. I was thinking about going to art school, and they don't start with the first year of academics. They always start with, okay, you're here, let's get to work on what you want to do. So it's just different colleges, and it just depends on where you go.
So it seems like you've done your research. And you, Diana?
I completely agree with Jada. When it comes to that aspect, I feel like for me, myself, I would like to say I've been doing a good job with my academics, and I feel like I could possibly get into college, but right now I don't know where I want to go exactly. I know I want to stay here in Atlanta, but I want to make sure that my scores are high enough. Maybe if it is the option, go out of state, or in my opinion, that my mom doesn't want to let me go too soon out of the country. I would really love to study abroad or do other things other than stay here.
Very good. So, if you were able to speak to prospective teachers, so we have college students who are looking to go into education and they're about to graduate, what would be the piece of advice that you would give them as students that they needed to take into their first year of teaching?
They get to know your students, like really. When you figure out how they are and what they know and how they learn, then it'll make like teaching easier, and also keep the students, like I said previously, engaged in your class, wanting to learn more in your class. I think that's like the biggest thing.
The big thing for me would be a teacher that's open-minded, welcoming, and being able to work with you even if you're having troubles. I feel like that'd be like one of the greatest things a student could have, especially if they're going through stress or too much work, or they're just not understanding the concept.
What about grading? So a lot of schools are now moving towards, and I don't know if Tri-Cities is there yet, but I know Fulton County is on this path of standards-based grading, so you don't necessarily get a grade on the whole assignment, but you just get graded on one particular standard. Are you guys moving in that direction?
We get graded on the whole
Y'all-
assignment.
So y'all are still kind of traditional grading.
You know what they did do? They increased how much each assignment is worth. Like they increased how
I noticed that this
homework
year.
is worth like 15%. Like the percentage of how much things are worth is like really increasing. So like really forces you, like if you miss a homework assignment, like 15% that can like affect your grade, and then projects are like 40%. Like there's just big percentages for how much things are worth. So it's like pushing you to make sure all your work is turned in on time and done accurately. Otherwise, it can really affect your grade.
Okay. Now let's talk extracurricular activities.
Okay.
What are you involved in?
Me, Tri-Cities is a performing arts magnet high school. I am in the band magnet there. I play saxophone. That's what I do there. I'm also I draw. I like to draw. Like I said, I want to do animation when I graduate, because I'm really interested in that. So drawing is something I do. And in terms of sports, I personally like weightlifting, and I play tennis as well. So I do a lot.
So you're very busy on
Yes.
top of your course load. Okay.
Yes.
Diana, what are you involved in?
For me, I am in the film class at the Fulton County Film Academy with Jada. We're both in the same class, actually. And we are also on the same tennis team. And I'm also And I'm also in the international club at my school as well. And I think that's it for now.
Do you feel that the school has enough cultural activities to address the needs of the diverse student body that you have?
I've been with the International Club since late freshman year, and we try to do that. We ask the students, and you don't have to be from a different country to join. As long as you're willing to spread diversity through the school, you're welcome. And I know for sure there are, I don't want to give you a wrong number, but I want to estimate it 30 plus countries represented in our school. And I know that my teacher over the club, Ms. Oliver, said that we might have flags that represent each of those students in the main entrance. So I feel like the school's actually doing a good job, but I would like to see more when it comes to showing off their talent or actually doing something, because I know myself, I could go out in the heartbeat and do something, but I know plenty of other students won't because they're shy or they're not just into it. So I guess more so students doing more, because I know teachers are willing to do it.
All right, so we do have a question. Do you think mental health counseling should be more readily available during school hours for those struggling with large amounts of stress and mental health issues? Is this something that y'all have any experience with amongst your friends and think that?
I do. I have usually a lot of friends come to me. They call me the mom of the group, and sometimes I myself need to talk to someone because I know it's a lot of work and stress, and you just want to let it all go. I feel like, yes, it would be great to have, especially for those who do have severe mental issues, maybe severe depression, severe anxiety, or just overall a load on themselves. I've had a lot of friends cry, or they've heard me cry, and it just goes back and forth, and maybe we're not in that position to take all that in at once. Maybe we do need an adult, and if school hours are the only hours we can, I feel like we should find a way to work that out.
Yeah, I agree. You do have those moments where it's just like, what? It's just too much sometimes. Myself, sometimes I never had like a huge thing because I usually like just get over it. But I know I have some friends that are just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and it's just like, I don't even know what to say. Like, who do I talk to? We were like real young to be having like depression and stress. Like, I would just be like, okay, who do we go to? Who do we talk to? Like, we do have counselors, but our counselors have attitude problems. Oh my gosh, they changed our counselor this year, and she, but it's just like, yeah, it would be nice to have something outside of school hours, someone we can go talk to that is an adult, so that way, like, we'll be able to have that situation like taken care of.
What are some of the issues in both of your opinions, or each of your opinions, that causes so much stress in your generation? Because it's something that I've noticed. It seems like today's teenagers are dealing with a lot more than maybe what my generation or the generation before dealt with. So what are some of those issues?
I think it would just be like work. There is a lot of work that we're getting, and it's because like us, our generation, we just want to do so much. I feel like it just comes down to managing what we want to do. There is so much more that I would love to be able to do, but of course I can't do it because I need to be focused on academics, and I need to probably let go of some things I'm doing now because it's just like I gotta focus on schoolwork. So I think it just comes down to what you want to do and what you need to do. That's something that our generation struggles with a lot, just getting our priorities right and making sure that we're able to get what we need to get done so we can do our work now and then do what we want to do later. That's something that I think is the main problem.
Okay. So y'all have access. Y'all have a lot of options.
Yes.
Okay.
I completely agree with Jada. My mom's always like, Diana, you have too much on your plate. You have to let some things go. And I told her, okay, well, I'll work something out. And last year was really hard for me to let go of some of these connections I've made, but I'd had to do that if I don't want to have all this on me.
What, I just lost my train of thought. I was going to ask you guys. It'll come back. So, is there anything in general that you want to share while I'm trying to figure out what my question was going to be? Do y'all have any other topics that we didn't talk about that you feel are important for the audience to be aware of?
Is there?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, me too. Oh, one thing like Diana said before in terms of extracurricular, it's not extracurricular. It's a class that we're taking. It's Fulton College and Career Academy. They started it last year, and they have pathways. They have aviation, construction, the one that we're in, film and animation, culinary, and teaching as a profession. And like high schools, they have like pathways that usually take 3 years to complete, but with this you learn everything in 1 year, and it's really accelerated, and I like it. And I feel like if that was something, something that's focused on what you want to do, that students can go take, that'll like I think really be helpful, because I'm learning like everything in terms of film, like the vocabulary and how to write a script properly and things of that nature, that in like the different softwares that are like on a professional basis. That's what we're learning there. I feel like you have stuff like that for students that want to pursue different things, then like I think that'll be really helpful.
Okay.
I completely agree. We go by trimesters. We just took our final last week, and to me it was like an amazing experience. It's I already took film 3 years in my homeschool, and I was like, well, let's try something new. And I really like what I did. I like the opportunity I took, because it's opened so many doors for me already. When I came into high school, I wanted to be a marine biologist with a love of photography. And then I was input into film production 9th grade year, and I was amazed. And I told Mom, well, marine biologist is out, filmmakers in, and we're just going to have to deal with it for right now.
Yeah, when I was younger.
There's a way to marry the two. You can be a marine biologist who makes films about marine biology.
That's what my mom said. And I told her, well, I want to go into the independent filmmaking, maybe even one to get into the Sundance Festival, or I told her, you know what, one day I'm gonna tell what's his name? Oh, I forgot his name. Leonardo DiCaprio what to do, and I'm gonna win an Oscar one day. So just wait on it. And she said, okay, Diana.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Goals. Yes.
Yeah, I want to work in the animation field. Like my dream job would be an animator at Cartoon Network Studios. That's something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. Well, I remember when I was younger though, growing up, I've always loved science. Like growing up, I would read biology books, anatomy books, my mom's old college books. Like I was reading them as a little girl, like looking up stuff I didn't know, and was like, I'm gonna be a cardiovascular surgeon when I was like 8 years old. And then when I got older, and then I just saw like I got more into art and drawing, and I was like, I want to do this, like for real. And they was just like, okay, well you can do it as long as you're happy. So I was just like, yeah, I really want to do this. Like middle school, that's when I really made up my mind and was like, I'm gonna be an animator. So that's something. Yeah, and I really like the College and Career Academy. I wish that's something that they would have had like
a lot sooner.
Yeah, because I didn't even know they started it last year. But we're in it this year, our first and last year doing it, and I'm really kind of sad because they do have something for second-year students. So, like, it's a little bit more advanced, and they're able to go, like, take field trips and stuff like that. So I was like, man, I wish I could have done that, but it's my first and last year. I'm not I just wish I would have had it sooner.
So this is a course at Tri-Cities, or is it countywide? How does it
work? It's at the county, and we have to travel somewhere else. So, like, it's the bus that comes picks us up. Our 3rd and 4th block, and we go over there and we learn, and then they take us back at the end of the day.
Oh, nice, interesting. Okay, another question. Do you feel that social media plays? No, I'm not reading that correctly. Do you feel the role social media plays in students' lives, such as dating, connecting with friends, etc., is more positive or negative?
It really depends on the student. For me, something I really like to do is pen paling. Like right now, I have 2 great friends that live in France, and we've been talking for weeks. Like I said, it depends on the student. Students have different likes. For me, if you go on my Instagram, you'll see maybe a lot of pictures of flowers and funny videos, while you go to another student's Instagram, you see something totally different. So I feel like it varies, and also how the student manages their own social media account, what they want to have people see and what they don't. I know a lot of my friends have what they call spam accounts, where they post whatever they want, and some of them have their names, some don't. It's like incognito, and well, they just have fun with it. So I feel like if you do it in a way where you probably won't get in trouble for it, do what you have to do, but that's like on your own conscience and your own sense.
Yeah, I agree, because it just depends on the student. Like for me, I'm always looking up, drawing and art and like how to write. I'm always looking up stuff like that to like help my craft and stuff, because I don't do that type of stuff like at school. There's not really stuff for that at school except the College and Career Academy I was talking about. So that's something I'm always doing. I'm always looking up like drawing and stuff like that. That's something I'm always doing.
What is your advice to students who may not have it as together as you do? Like, what steps can you give them to help them kind of get it together and figure things out? Because you two seem to have it mapped out. You know what
Thank you.
aiming
Yeah,
towards.
Yeah, I think it's just because me, I like to just, I mean, I do have my parents at home, of course, but sometimes, like, I don't talk to them as much as I should about things. And it's just like, you have to figure out what you want to do. You have to know, like, what it is that you want to do and how are you going to do it. And then you have to take those steps yourself to just figure it out. You know, and then if there's people you can talk to, don't be afraid to talk to those people. And if you're like me, keep it to yourself, well, then you just have to figure it out for yourself, you know, if that's the thing, if that's the path that you want to take, you know. It's just you have to know who you are, what you want to do, and how you're going to get there. And then you have to make that plan. That's all I guess I have to say.
For me, usually my go-to people are my parents, and I'm so lucky to have them. Like, I'm very grateful. And there's one thing my mom always tells me: well, if you want to be a filmmaker, you're going to be the best one out there, because you know that's the only path you have for yourself right now. And she's always telling me, we're going to a male's industry where it's hard, and you're Latina, so that's going to be a lot harder. So do you know what you're going into? And I told her, yes, Mom, I know. And she always brings up this example. In Mexico, there are people called barrenderos, and they clean the streets with, they sweep it. And she was like, I don't care if you're going to be one of those, but I want you to be the best one on that street. So I feel like if maybe your parents aren't really in the picture, at least have someone behind you, even if they are your friends, pushing you, and you knowing what you want to do, like Jada said. Have that plan. Have that goal in your life that you're trying to get to.
So, parents who are currently watching the show, and you've heard from two young women, and basically they're saying that they are on the right track because they have their parents as their number one go-to resource. That should really resonate for all of you, that you need to definitely have the type of platform where your students feel comfortable coming to you, because I'm hearing both of these young ladies say that that is what makes the biggest difference for them. Trying to keep up with our Facebook comments here. All right, we love to hear it. Good job, students. Love to hear their input. Very intelligent young ladies. And then we've got some people that are just saying hello. So, hello. Thank you for watching. All right, we have a few minutes left. What final pieces of advice would you like to share, Diana, for anyone who can relate to your situation? Their parents are immigrants, and so they have those unique challenges of being a dreamer. What advice would you give to students who are having a hard time overcoming those challenges and pushing forward?
Like I said earlier, money is like a big situation in the family, but so is their status in the U.S. They've gone to many lawyers. I'm 17, I'll be 18 in June. And I told them, well, once I'm 18, let's start the process, let's do it. But they've told me repeatedly, Diana, we can't do that unless your dad gets detained by ICE and deported under legal documents until we can actually start the process. So I go in fear every day to go out out of the state. Like, I'm going to Indianapolis in 2 weeks. And I'm afraid to leave them here, just how the situation is, how everything's going, the new administration. It scares me, but I know that I have to keep going. I can't just stop here, especially if I want to bring attention to this and I want people to know. So for me, the tip I would do is show your voice, do things, join the newspaper, join the news broadcast at your school, have your story be told. That's something I tell a lot of my friends. And like, if they know someone who is old enough to vote, encourage them to vote and encourage them to do the right thing. That's something I do a lot, and I give to my friends because I know I can't do it, but I know they can.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And Jada, for students who just don't have the parental support, what advice would you give to them in getting it together?
Well, if you don't have the parental, you just have to, you have to find that one adult, whether it be a teacher, a counselor. It is always nice to have an adult by your side. I would have to say that. And also, like I said before, you just have to make that plan for yourself. Like, what is it that you want to do, and look up how you're gonna. You have to look it up for yourself, basically. Like, you have to just, if no one's there beside you, then what are you gonna do? Because at the end of the day, it's just you. So you have to figure out what's best for your life and take the necessary steps to get where you're trying to go.
So what are the hot study techniques? I know back in my day, you did flashcards, or you had somebody read your notes and you repeat back to them. What are y'all's study techniques that you're using now?
Cramming.
Probably
Cramming.
with a lot of music.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, if your class is third block, you're in first. Hey, we got a test. Oh my gosh. Cramming. I would say, no, seriously, like, I reread my stuff a lot sometimes. It is usually last minute, but I mean, I reread everything to make sure that I have it together. I guess that would.
I just remembered my question from earlier.
Oh.
So there's a lot of debate on the education circuit regarding the effectiveness of homework. Should teachers give it? Should they not give it? And a lot of the research is now saying that if students aren't doing it, then the teacher just needs to stop giving it, and that it doesn't help. It doesn't make an impact. So I would love to hear from each of you if you feel that homework is really helping you in your learning, or if you feel like it's busy work.
Oh, it really depends, because there are some situations where it's like practice, and some where it's just like, are you serious? Why are you giving me this? And it's just like, you didn't, and then you have we didn't even go over this type homework. So then it's just like, you know, like, students, like I said, they just look up the answers online. Like, everything's online now. So, like, push come to shove, I will just look up your worksheet and copy your answers and turn that into you the next day. Like, I'm so serious.
Teachers, y'all better stop pulling these worksheets off of Google.
I'm so for real. But, yeah, it's just, it really depends. You do have your, okay, here's some extra practice over what we did today. Here's your whatever, I'm just going to give you this. Here's your, we didn't go over it, but I want to do tomorrow. And it's just like, okay, what is homework?
I agree. I remember I saw an article I forgot when it was, but it was talking about how, I forget what country it was as well, they don't give homework, and if the children miss certain time of recess, they take that away, from learning, so they have more recess. And they said that that's, it gives them more time to, get more relaxed and then go back in and study more. And I just forget what country it was, but they did say that. So let's say they went over 30 minutes during learning, so they're going to give them extra 30 minutes in recess time for the students, so they'll be able to learn more. And I feel like that's amazing. I've never heard of that for someone like me, that I get homework almost every night. And like Jada said, yes, if your homework is on Google and it's a stress night and I need to get this done so I can sleep, I might get it from Google.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is that the homework needs to really have a true purpose.
Yes.
And teachers need to be more thoughtful about what they're giving and why they're giving it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not that students, they just don't want to do it, teachers, okay? Keep that in mind. Now, you mentioned this thing about recess, so I want to come back to that. Do you feel like you have enough time in between your classes to decompress, to just even be focused by the time you get to the next class?
No, not at
What do you
all.
think would be a reasonable amount of time? How much time do you have, and then what do you think would be reasonable?
Well, we have 3 minutes or less to get to the next class?
We have like 7.
We do?
Yeah.
I just walk
We
straight
have-
to class. I don't do anything. I just put my headphones in and walk.
We have 7 minutes in between our class, but like, like our classes are like on different sides of the school, so by the time we actually get through the whole school, we have like 1 minute left, and it's just like, where'd the time go? And our lunch is like
Very small.
really short, really small, and I wish we could like eat outside or go get food or something. They don't even let us do that. Like, I wish we could eat outside or have classes outside, or can we just go get food and come back? Like, something like that would be really nice. But yeah, I don't think it's enough time. We don't get that.
So are y'all aware of why the class time, the transition time is so short, why your lunch is so short, those types of things?
I don't think so. That's just how it's always been.
It's always been
It's
this
always
way.
been like that since, we've been going to high school.
So all of that happened because of typically behavior problems.
Yeah.
Something happened, and then they figured if we just reduce the amount of time, it gives them less time to get into trouble. So, with that being said, do you feel like there's a lot of behavior issues that impact the quality of the education that you're receiving? And if so, how do you really, at your core, feel about having to be in classes with certain types of students?
Well, you do have, like, at our school, we are separated by honors and regulars. So it's like, because I'm in mostly honors and AP classes, I am away from the rest of the class. And because I'm also in magnet, so, like, I'm always doing stuff with bands. So I'm usually, like, separated from the rest of the school. I would say myself personally, but, yeah, I know I do have a few friends that are in regular classes like, oh my gosh, there's one kid in my class, I don't even know why he's there, he just never do anything. So it's like, yeah, I just think that's a bit unfair, and I don't even know.
And are you in the same situation where you're pretty much separated from?
In most, like, when you take extracurricular classes, there are going to be those students who just don't want to do the work, or they're always distracting the teacher, and it does get a little bit annoying at some points where you're just like, okay, can you be quiet so I can get this done and go home and take a nap or something, because that's all I really want to do when I get home. Take a nap, make sure I get my stuff done, and then go to sleep.
Do you think other students feel any sympathy towards the students who are misbehaving, or do you think that they just all secretly want the student to do better or go away? Like, how do you think most students feel about that? Like, they laugh at it sometimes, but do you think they really think it's funny? Or
I mean, sometimes it is funny, but sometimes it's just like, okay, what are you doing? Like, you need to sit down for real because you're at school. So, like, it is funny, that one little outburst or the one, little joke just to lighten up the day is funny. Sometimes I'm that person that, like, says something, but then it's just like when you're, like, out of control, you're always standing up, you're always talking. It's just, like, really annoying, and it, like, takes away from the class. So just like, yeah.
I agree. For example, we were in class one day and someone shouted something out, and it was actually hilarious. Even the teacher laughed, and we went on with our day. That's agreeable. Go ahead and do that, because it's what we're talking about. But like Jada said, like those huge outbursts or screaming, and it's just like, okay, dial it down.
Or wanting attention, like they just do, like just out of, oh my gosh, they just want attention. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, sit down for real. It just takes away from the class.
So teachers have changed a lot over the years. And I see a lot of teachers using some methods to try to reach students, like rapping or dancing and making hip-hop videos. I don't know, all of those sorts of things. Do you feel that that is necessary or unnecessary, or would you prefer that a teacher be more of a traditional in terms of how they behave in that manner?
No, I like it actually, and because we go to performing arts school, we do have like those teachers that are like, okay guys, I want you all to write a poem, or they like pull up an old video that they did of them making up a song about something. It keeps things interesting. It's different, and I actually would prefer that over the, okay, class today, teacher, go to page 92 and write the whole book. It's just like, yeah, I would actually prefer that over the norm.
I completely agree. Having teachers who like are willing to go out of their way, maybe even embarrass themselves just for a tiny bit to get your attention, I feel like that's something good that they do.
What about teacher age? Old versus young. Does it matter as long as
Okay, so it depends. Like, you do have like the old teachers that like change up their way to fit like the students, but then you do have that old teacher that's just like, this is my way, I've been teaching for 30-something years and I'm not changing. It's just like, you're not helping me either. So it really depends on, like, I mean, the age wouldn't matter as long as you just accommodate the generation that you're in now, because we're different. We're different, yeah. But I think, the age wouldn't matter, just how you teach.
And what about with your devices? You mentioned about being one-to-one, and I know that the last year that I taught, some of the students didn't want the devices. What has been the student response in your building?
It's a lot. I was actually in iSchool Advocate, where the people who actually gave those out. to the school. We had a whole day set up and everything, but a lot of students didn't want them or just don't like them. Like Jada has her own opinions.
I do not like the devices.
It just all depends how it works. Like usually Jada's like, Diana, help me with this because I don't know how to work this thing. And sometimes I'm like, well, I agree. I don't know what this button does, but let's try it out because that's what they've gave us. So I try to work around it, and if not, I'll find something else or turn it in with a piece of paper and a pencil because that's the only way I could do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like the devices that much, especially because like teachers, they want us to have our notes on there. And the thing with me, I like to be able to write stuff down because that's how I'll remember notes. And just having them online, I'm not gonna look at them. I'm not gonna, but if I have all the paper together and I'm like flipping through, I'm able to physically touch and write on my notes, and that's something that's helpful because I don't even know how to work the little, like I said, I'm always calling her like, hey, I don't know how to do this because I don't like the device. But I mean, some students do, so I think it just depends. Like I bring it. It's probably dead, but at least I have it with me.
Well, that sounds similar to homework. I guess it's all in how they're incorporating it and giving still some flexibility for different learning styles that we talked about before. Well, ladies, our time has come to an end. An hour goes by
fast. That was fast, yeah.
So quickly. Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience? Any final thoughts about education in general that you feel people should keep in mind?
It's about the students. Students should come first, I guess.
And I would say stay open-minded on both sides.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I want to thank both of you for coming today and so freely sharing your opinions and answering all of my questions and our viewers' questions. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. I think people are always happy to see young people who are doing well and who are intelligent and well-spoken and making your points. I can receive everything that you're saying, and it sounds better coming from you this way than from someone just saying, oh, teachers don't do this and teachers don't do that. But you have given us some very valid points and solutions. And so I think that's going to be very helpful for all of the educators who are listening today. Before we sign off, I would like to take a moment to recognize my beautiful, talented, phenomenal sorors of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. As most of you know, this is the month of November, but we affectionately call it Rovember. We are celebrating our 95th Founders Day this year on November 12th. We were founded November 12th, 1922. So in honor of my sorority and my sorors, I wanted to wear some paraphernalia today. Also, because I'm still floating on cloud nine because I was honored by my sorority, my chapter, Eta Sigma, the heart and soul of Atlanta, as one of their 7 shining stars in education on yesterday. So I am super excited about that, and I wanted to take a moment to publicly thank my chapter as well as my sorority as a whole. It was totally my pleasure to receive the honor, and I really appreciate it. Also, I want to remind everyone that you can catch us here on the Dr. Marquita Blade Show every first and third Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And please be on the lookout if you're here in Atlanta. The show will be coming to Comcast People TV, Channel 24, in a couple of weeks. So you will be able to see replays of everything that we've done here on the show and catch up if you haven't been able to see every episode. My final announcement this week, Columbia, South Carolina, I'm headed your way. I'm going to be presenting my literacy in STEM presentation called You've Got the Power. You heard Jada mention earlier that the focus is on STEM, but that it needs to be on literacy because students have a hard time with reading and writing, and that's exactly what my presentation is about. So, South Carolina educators, if you are attending the SC Squared 40th Annual South Carolina Science Council Conference, please come and see me there presenting You've Got the Power. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and my panelists. on the Dr. Marquita Blade Show, candid conversations that create change. We'll see you next time.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Download the app on Google Play, Instinct Radio, or go to instinctradio.net. And now, back to the hottest sounds around. Instinct Radio.